Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz, and today I'm going to talk about how to make peace with the coronavirus, what we can do to support it and ourselves. And as always, I'm a very practical person, so let's get started. Welcome again to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz. I'm a business professional and what I call practical intuitive. My work is to help people balance body, mind, and spirit through developing their intuitive and their healing skills. And that means living our everyday lives in the world. So today I want to talk about offering peace, offering support to us and to the coronavirus, and what that actually means in practical matters for us. And you all know about all the health effects and all the stuff that our various governments are suggesting that we do. So let's join in today and talk about it, talk about what mind, body, and spirit can bring to this, what is a growing worldwide crisis, how we can respond to it, how we can come together as a community. So let's start with Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz. Let's get grounded and balanced together in this space that Om Times and Humanity Healing have created for us to come together all over the world. And so let's get grounded and balanced. Imagine taking your attention to the top of your head, bringing body, mind, and spirit together, breathing down from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. And then reversing that line of energy, moving from your feet all the way back to the top of your head. And imagine inviting Fallon's light and energy into you. Imagine it as a gold light going straight to your heart, and with each beat of your heart, flooding your body with healthy energy and supporting you, body, mind, and spirit. So I am first and foremost a practical person. That's why I call myself the practical intuitive. And everything I've learned as an intuitive, I learned by experimenting. So today I want to share with you some thoughts about the coronavirus, how we can respond to it on our own, give us some perspective on that. And I welcome your comments. So please chime in, tell me where you're joining us from, and any questions or comments that you have that you would like to share with us. This is a community. We're all in it together, and no more obvious in the time of crisis, right? To see everybody coming together and pulling together. So as a practical intuitive, I look at what we can do, body, mind, and spirit, to support ourselves, our families, our loved ones, our friends, our communities, and our countries and the world around us. So what can we do to respond to something new like this coronavirus, which we're told is a brand new thing and is affecting people worldwide? You can't help but notice everything going on out there, from the stock market crashing to people fighting over supplies, to people becoming hyper aware of germs. And I live in Seattle, Washington. Washington State is the epicenter of the coronavirus in the United States. So I guess I can speak from the center of the problem right here. And I would, again, thanks, Claire, for chiming in. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. And just let me give you some ideas on how you might think about it and how we might come together as a community around this subject. So how do we respond to this kind of news? We can see our governments in the various parts of the world shutting down. We in Seattle, okay, because I'm an intuitive, I had a heads up on this. I have 2 animals to feed as well as myself. So very cautiously taking care of everything. Bonnie Lake, Washington, choosing not to live in fear. I appreciate you too, Robin. Hey, we spell our name the same way. Haven't met too many Robins that spell their name with a Y. And that is it. That is one big thing, choosing not to live in fear. And I'll get into that in a moment. But living in Seattle, watching what's going on around me, I was not surprised to hear that, for example, our local Costco's were not only overwhelmed with people buying things up, but there were lines around the block just trying to get into the parking lot. I don't remember what year it was, a decade or so ago, where we had a huge storm in Seattle and, well, the whole western part of Washington state. And Seattle is a metro population of over 2 million people. Everything went down in this storm. Uh, telephone poles were snapped in half, and it was cold, and we had no power. And literally, people started rushing to different places to buy up supplies in different parts of different cities because the supplies were out on their end. People were driving around and their cars ran out of gas because everybody was cold and there was no power to get warm with, no way to cook to feed themselves. And we really had a heads up on the fact that our ancestors were a whole lot more capable of dealing with a crisis than we are, because they could grow their own food and they could figure out how to keep warm. And they knew that times could easily be very hard. When it was all over here in Seattle, first responders that I knew said we were 48 hours from complete anarchy over a power outage that lasted less than a week in the most of the Seattle area. So I want to just remind you of something like that when we talk about something like this virus. It's new, we don't have immunity to it, and not anyone besides us here together is asking, what is it? What does it want? What does it need? Do we coexist with it? How do we do that? And how do we create peace? Peace between us and other. And that's really what I wanted to talk with you about today. And looking at the virus from a mind, body, spirit aspect. So when I get to the end of what I want to say here, we're actually going to do a group. I don't want to say meditation because I'm really not sure what meditation is, but a group together with Fallon, a group offering of peace and energy to the world around us, to ourselves, and to the coronavirus. So let's look at this panicky situation from a body, mind, spirit aspect. And again, feel free to chime in. Let us know what you're thinking and feeling, what your response is, and how we can help each other. So from a body aspect, we know panic doesn't do anything but get us in trouble. You know, you get excited, you crash your car, you fall down the stairs, you do things you wouldn't normally do. So calm down, right? Again, I live at the epicenter and I'm fine. I'm calm, and a lot of us are fine. So pay attention to what's going on around you. People who don't tune into the news are the ones all the time who don't know what's happening in the rest of the world. And not just for something like this virus, but ideas on how we can come together as a community worldwide to make the world a better and safer place for all of us. That's what we're all here for, right? Growing our souls, but growing our souls in cooperation with all life around us. And everything is alive, right? And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So body, obviously, take care of the basics, you know, take care of yourself as you should in any season. Winter came, I was prepared for being snowed in like we were last year in February, even in Seattle on the ocean where I live. So food and supplies stocked up in case the power went out or I couldn't get out to buy food. That's normal, right? That's what you do. That's what you do. So what can this mean in your daily life, depending on where you live? Like we see Northern Italy in complete shutdown. How long will it be before they quarantine the state of Washington? I would not take bets on that. And I'm sorry to be laughing because this is serious. People have died. People get sick. What I'm trying to do is, hey, take a breath. Let's look at this together and see what we can do in a practical matter for ourselves and how we can come together in community to support each other. So, and also let me say that I'm hoping I don't look as old as I really am. But I remember as a little child, polio was a huge issue in the world, and polio was and still remains a deadly disease. And my father was a pharmacist, someone who compounds drugs and sells drugs in a pharmacy, right? And so when they developed a vaccine for the polio virus, they shipped it all over the country via helicopter, plane, or wherever you were. I remember a helicopter landing in the field of the local high school, and my dad running out to get the vaccine because everybody was lined up to get a vaccine. This is not a pro-vaccine announcement. This is just saying we have faced crises before as humans, and while we do have economic crises and all kinds of things and diseases, and I'm not saying we don't have tough times here, but my God, I mean, we've had Great Depressions, we've had world wars, we've had epidemics, we've had all of these things. We've come through as a species. So how are we going to come through this together? How are we going to grow our souls in the face of a crisis of uncertainty where people are like being told not to shake hands? I mean, it's like, whoa, this is way more involved than it ever is during flu season. So what is that all about, right? So just remember from a body aspect that people panic when they feel helpless, when they feel threatened. And we've seen that in Seattle, and I'm sure in different parts of the world, wherever you are, you have heard of it at least. I hope you don't experience it. I hope we all get our act together before that happens. But take care of yourself. So that's the body. So mind is where we get tripped up. So how do you feel about this epidemic? How do you feel about handling it? Do you feel empowered, confused, bored by all of the media attention? Are you worried? How are you taking care of yourself and your family? Mind, how do you stay centered? How do you stay grounded and balanced, right? It's body, mind, and spirit is the central. So like I've pointed out before, I keep lavender, I keep sea salt, I keep crystals around me just to remind myself that I am part of a living world and that I have chosen to work as someone to help other people connect body, mind, and spirit. And that I am choosing these various ways of keeping grounded and balanced in my own life. So I urge you to find your ways of doing it. So what do you do to get calm when you're upset, right? Or when you run into someone who's grabbing I mean, I was at Costco because I wanted to cash my annual rebate check as a Costco member. And they were rationing supplies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So that's what it's coming to. Keep your sense of humor. Keep yourself stocked up as well as you can. But keep yourself centered, body, mind, and spirit. Keep yourself grounded and balanced. That will also help you stay well. Right? So spirit, remember that your spiritual team is always there to support you, but they can't do a darn thing unless you ask. So ask your spiritual team to support you. If you need calm, if you need to be grounded and balanced, if you have loved ones who are ill, if you're ill yourself, or you're worried about the ramifications, and the ramifications are looking very serious in terms of jobs, in terms of food supply lines. And that's a very real consideration. This is the first time in recorded human history that we have international supply lines. So we're all in it together, right? We can't keep the world economy going one country all by itself. So we're in it together. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it will help us realize that people from different countries who look different than us, who think different than us, who speak a different language, who practice a different religion, we're still all in it together. And that is really good. Again, spirit, keep yourself grounded and balanced. Find a spiritual practice that helps you keep centered, but also helps you remember, first and foremost, we're here to grow our souls in these bodies that we've chosen. This is a tough time for us, for the world around us. let's offer peace and support to the world around us. Now, here's the thing I really want to talk about. Remember, I learned this by being ill many years ago, forced to be at home, handicapped, recovering from a major accident, and then starting to connect with other things around me. And I learned by talking with a volcano, talking with a hurricane, talking with my home, with my animals, with my car, that intuition is everywhere and everything is alive. And there's a philosophy I call planetary connection. And what it means is that everything, as I have learned from personal experience, again, I'm a practical intuitive, learned that everything out there, regardless of what it looks like, is alive, has a soul, has consciousness, has a job to do and a responsibility to do it, and has opinions. Which means that the coronavirus is alive and has a soul. So, how do we deal with something that's alive and has a soul? Do we kill it because it's hurting us? Or do we step in and do what we can, whether it's prayer, whether it's offering energy healing, whether it's connecting with it, to ask it what it needs? Because no being out there kills just for the heck of it. It kills because it needs to eat to survive, right? And that's how viruses, that's how cancer works, that's how the world spins, right? So what if we could talk to it and ask it if there was another way that it could survive without harming humans and animals, without harming other beings around it? Could it alter itself in a way that it can move from the insane place where it is now, as I've been conversing with it for the last 2 months, to being something more benign, to finding its peace, finding its soul purpose, and doing something to itself to not be so deadly, right? Asking its spiritual team for support. And if you don't know this, there are spiritual teams out there, not just our own spiritual teams, but there are spiritual beings out there who work in various occupations, so to speak. So when one of my animals or I am sick or someone around me is having surgery and they're willing to ask for it, we ask surgical spiritual beings, or here we want epidemiologists, so spiritual beings who work with viruses and epidemics, to step in on that etheric level, spiritual level, to support this virus and its work in the world without this harm that it's doing to all of the people that and animals that contract it. So that's what I wanted to share with you. We're going to just do a clearing and balancing again with Fallon as soon as I look at your questions or comments. Christina tried to show love, but it's hard. It is hard as you're recovering germaphobe. I live with animals, so I've always practiced, washing my hands and so on and so forth. And so that's good that we're doing that. My question is, why haven't people been doing that already, since we have so many people who died this year from the flu, and every year? So I get that. And I've watched people around me, because I live at the epicenter here in Washington State. I watch people around me like looking at each other in the store like, oh my God, So totally get that. So Christina, body, mind, and spirit, balance, grounding, do what you need to do for that. I love columbite, the black crystal, but plain quartz is also good. And of course, you've got the energy of Fallon coming at you here today too. Yes, Christina, love, yes. These things are shedding light, Claire says. Hopefully we can learn from them to take better care of each other and our planet. Perfect. Thanks for sharing that, Claire. Absolutely true. Humor, yep. I actually crossed humor off the list because I was afraid people would think I was being flippant. It is true. Thank you for being so kind and so beautiful in saying that. you know, there's a lot of people on the planet. So once somebody gets ill with a contagious thing, it spreads, right? And polio spread. And the pandemic of 1918 spread. And as a virologist said on the news the other night, he said, what's the difference between the pandemic of 1918 and this one? He said, well, back then, how many transatlantic flights did we have? 0. How many do we have now? 40 million. Yeah. All right. So there you go. Terry, we can stay grounded and focused. Yes, yes. Be mindful, watch your hands. We can overcome a crisis. We can if we work at it. Sue, I don't blame you for being scared. And that's why I did this Facebook Live today, because I am first and foremost a practical person. And I thought we could come together in peace and love and share how we're feeling about it. I am not afraid, but that's me. And I understand people who are, especially if they know people who've been ill. And I know more things about this virus than I'll say. But the thing that I do want you to know is that it is alive, just like we are. It does have a soul, just like we do. So what do we do for it? And what do we do for us? And how do we coexist with something that isn't really meant to coexist, and is basically insane, which happens. So spirit first, mind next, body follows. Marita, pretty good, cool. Love unconditionally and intentionally. Wash our hands. Giggle a lot and make others go giggle. Really cool. On Saturday, I hosted a birthday party here at my house for a couple of friends. We got together and we cooked a meal and had a good time. And that's what you do, right? Spiritual beings having human experiences. Yeah, and the coronavirus is a spiritual being having a viral experience, right? So it's alive. It's there. It's focused. So let's spend the last few minutes here together actually offering peace to the coronavirus with Fallon. All right. And then you can take this and imagine that these moments the few of us are spending together will go out into the world offering body, mind, and spirit, love and support to each other, to the virus, for health and well-being, and that we spread the feelings of this grounding and balancing out to the world around us for calm, for peace, and for resolution, for this virus to alter itself, to be less dangerous to people and animals. So take a deep breath. You can focus on Fallon, imagine this gold light. And imagine that we're sending peace and love to this virus. Peace and love to the creators. Asking it to examine its mission in the world, its soul purpose, and not its bodily purpose. Its soul is there to grow itself in peace and harmony, and that we can grow together in peace and harmony. And asking the virus to alter itself so that it will not continue to make people sick and die, or animals sick and die. And imagine this gold light going out from Fallon to your heart, spreading peace into your hearts. And then imagine this gold light spreading out into your home, into your community, into your country, into the world around you. And hold that feeling. So whenever you get scared or worried, remember that you can do the same grounding and balancing for yourself. I'm sure you have partners in your home, whether it's a handful of sea salt or other crystals, yourself, And thank you for joining me today. You can find, if you like my broadcast, please like this page, Humanity Healing, the Om Times pages, my business page, The Practical Intuitive. If you have questions or comments, you can tag me there or here. I offer personal and business intuition, mediumship, animal communication, space clearing, past life and between life regression, soul progression healing, which is a combination of shamanic modalities, energy healing, and intuitive insight. But I'm here for you. We're all in it together. I will see you next week. If you have comments or things that you'd like me to cover in future broadcasts, let me know. Next week, I will probably cover what I was going to cover today, which is how we remember our loved ones who have passed on. And again, sending peace and love to things that are hurting us is one way to dissolve that tension and dichotomy that keeps us apart. Asking the virus to alter itself to be benign may be the answer, because we can do it and it can do it. Thank you for joining me. I am here if you have questions, and I will see you next week. Take care.